Hello and welcome to yet another episode of the news series. My name is Pooja Devedi. Today we are going to discuss the Indus Waters Treaty, which was signed on September 19th, 1960. It's a tripartite agreement, we can say, between India, Pakistan, and also World Bank. The World Bank also has a limited role in this, but from the perspective of the examination, it is important to understand the intricacies of this treaty. Without any further ado, let us approach towards the different topics we need to touch upon in today's episode. Of course, the Indus River system will be discussed in brief, the Indus Waters Treaty, disagreement over two hydroelectric power plants. First is the 𝐃𝐫𝐢𝐬𝐡𝐭𝐢 project and second one is the Ratle project. The dispute solution or resolution mechanism. Other than that, different treaty mechanisms which have been sought by India and Pakistan to resolve the dispute will also be discussed. What happened with the two applications that were filed separately by India and Pakistan on a similar issue, and what is India's notice, the current notice, and what are the implications. Let us move ahead and talk about the news piece. This news piece has been sourced from the Indian Express, and of course the news goes like, India or New Delhi has issued a notice to Islamabad, that is Pakistan, seeking modification of the Indus Waters Treaty. Why? Because of Pakistan's continued intransigence in implementing the treaty. The treaty is not being implemented in letter and spirit. This has been alleged by India, because Pakistan is raising repeated objections to the construction of two hydro projects on the Indian side, that is 𝐾𝐶 and Ratle. Also, because we know that right now the resolution mechanism has the permanent commission of the Indus Waters Treaty, India has filed this petition with the Commissioner for Indus Water, and now Pakistan has 90 days to consider entering into intergovernmental negotiations to rectify the material breach of the treaty. So this is kind of a bilateral initiative, as in India has initiated this process with the help of the permanent commission of the Indus Waters Treaty, and now the ball is in the court of Pakistan if it wants to talk about it or not, although it is not obligated to. We'll know about it more. Now, the Indus River system, India has got its name from Indus only, and the Harappan Valley civilization or the Indus Valley civilization was born around this river. The Indus River originates in Lake Mansarovar and then follows a northwest direction. And this, of course, the source, remember, the range is Kailas range, and it goes till the Nanga Parbat. And after the Nanga Parbat, it actually has a drainage of around, we can say its length is of around 2900 kilometers. Total drainage is about more than 11 lakh square kilometers. It flows between Ladakh and the Zanskar range. Also Baltistan, it flows through the regions of Ladakh, Baltistan and Gilgit. Okay, and its gradient is very gentle in nature. It is joined by the Zanskar river at Leh. Near Skardu, it is joined by Shyok. All these are important from the perspective of a preliminary examination. And the Gilgit, Gartang, Dras, Shigar, Hunza, these are other Himalayan tributaries of the Indus, very important from the perspective of the preliminary examination. Now it crosses the Himalayas through a 5181 meter deep gorge near Attock, and this is north of Nanga Parbat. So remember that. Kabul River from Afghanistan, it joins Indus near Attock, and thereafter it flows through the Potwar Plateau. The other important tributaries joining here are Kurram, Toch and Zob Gomal. Just above Mithankot, the Indus River, it collects the water from the Panchnath. Panchnath includes Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas and Satluj. Satluj is a river like the river Indus that doesn't originate in India. Other than that, the other rivers such as Beas, Ravi, Satluj, these all, even Jhelum, they all originate in India. Jhelum from the Pir Panjal range, Chenab from Baralachala Pass, and Ravi and Beas also in Himachal Pradesh only. So remember that. And when there is a certain river, Satluj, Ravi, Beas, Jhelum, these do not directly, Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi and Bias, they do not directly join Indus. The waters from them is collected by the river Satluj, and then Satluj finally meets Indus at Mithankot. Okay, remember that. Moving on. Now, the river empties into the Arabian Sea south of Karachi after forming a huge delta, very prosperous delta. Let's talk about the treaty. The origin of the treaty finds its way back in 1960, and World Bank is also a signatory, so it's a tripartite agreement or a treaty. It was initiated on the insistence of the former World Bank President Eugene Black. Eugene Black, through this treaty, wanted to provide a framework for irrigation and hydropower development for more than half a century. Former US President Dwight Eisenhower, he described it as one bright spot in a very depressing world picture that we see so often. So remember, if it is asked in your preliminary examination, this quoting is given, you can understand it is related to which treaty or what thing. The treaty, it allocates the western rivers, which are Indus, Jhelum and Chenab, to Pakistan, and eastern rivers Ravi, Bias and Satluj to India. And at the same time, the treaty allows each country certain use of the rivers allocated to the other. That means India can use certain limited powers it has with respect to the western rivers, Indus, Jhelum and Chenab, and with respect to the eastern rivers, Pakistan can also have a use of it. All right, moving ahead. Now the treaty, when we talk about the working of the treaty, it sets out a mechanism, which is the Permanent Indus Commission. This Permanent Indus Commission cooperates and exchanges information between the two countries with respect to the river Indus. And it also sets forth distinct procedures to handle issues which can range from question, then difference, and then dispute. When question is there, what is a question with respect to Indus Waters Treaty? Supposedly, India wants to develop a hydropower project in one of the western rivers, Jhelum, Chenab or Indus. So what do? We do not go there and start our work. We raise this developmental initiative with Pakistan. This becomes a question. Okay, this is a question for us right now. If Pakistan does not agrees to the proposal that we have sent with respect to any facility we are developing over the western rivers, then this becomes a difference. When this becomes a difference and the second grade response is not able to resolve this difference, then it will become a dispute. So it works like that. So let us see what happens here. As a signatory to the treaty, the World Bank's role is although limited and procedural, and differences and disputes, when it comes to these two things, it is very limited. We will talk about that also. Now, what are the disagreements? It is with respect to the two important hydropower projects that India is developing. On the 𝐾𝐶𝐽, we are having our 𝐾𝐶𝐽 hydropower project, and on the Chenab River, we are having Ratle project. Okay, so with respect to these two only, the western rivers, Pakistan is not happy with India's initiative. The World Bank is not financing either of the projects. Okay. Now the question arises whether the technical design feature of these two hydroelectric plants contravene the treaty. If it is going against the treaty, the plants are located, I have already discussed that. And then under the treaty, India is permitted to construct hydroelectric projects on these rivers. So it is not in contravention to the treaty. See, Article 9 of the Indus Waters Treaty is talking about graded mechanism to resolve any sort of dispute between India and Pakistan. And it's a 3-level mechanism. As I said, once initiative is raised with Pakistan from India, it has to be clarified between the two sides. So it's a bilateral treaty here. The difference, if if Pakistan does not allow such thing, then the difference, that is, the question has now become a difference. I have already told you that this will go to a neutral expert. Now, neutral experts, who appoints this neutral expert? The World Bank does. So World Bank comes into the picture here. Then, if this difference is also not is also unable to be solved from the neutral expert, it will become a dispute and then it will go to the court of arbitration. Okay, moving ahead, now we talk about the applications or the petitions which were filed with respect to the issue by India and Pakistan. Now in 2015, Pakistan asked the neutral expert should be appointed. Pakistan did not want the permanent Indus Water Treaty Commissioner to solve this dispute. What happens? Commissioners, also remember, Pakistan has its own commissioner for IWT and India also has their own commissioner. Now what happens that Pakistan says, no, we do not want a neutral expert. We want court of arbitration. Okay. So the problem was with respect to the design of the two hydroelectric power project, of course. India also filed another petition. India asked for the appointment of a neutral expert only for the same purpose. And the problem lies where? The treaty does not empower the World Bank to handle the similar issue through different mechanisms. Either you go with neutral expert or you go with court of arbitration, because what happens that if they pronounce different judgments, there will be a lot of legal challenges in the implementation of it. So that will consume time and hence development will be gone. Moving ahead, now the recent notice that India has provided to Pakistan, it has evoked Article 12, Clause 3 of the treaty. The provisions of this treaty may from time to time be modified. What does this article say? That this treaty can be modified from time to time, and this has to be done with respect to sitting down of both the partners and of course the World Bank as well. The World Bank has been facing a unique situation because for the similar issue it has two petitions. On December 12, 2016, the World Bank had announced a pause in the separate process. We are not going to go ahead with it, the World Bank said in 2016. And the regular meetings of Indus Waters Commission was resumed in 2017. After the Uri attack, it was resumed because here only because of the Uri attack of 2016, the Prime Minister of India did say that blood and water cannot flow together. So when this conduct was resumed since 2017 to 2022, the similar issue was raised by India time and again to resolve it through bilateral exchange, because of course it is not going, a third party although is a member of the treaty like the World Bank, but eventually it is Pakistan and India who have to talk and get out any sort of solution, any kind of conclusion. If Pakistan is just crying for a help from outside, it is not going to work. So this is a logic defined thing. Pakistan has refused to talk about it. Now, in March 2022, the World Bank initiated actions on the request of both India and Pakistan, which it had paused in 2016. On March 31st, 2022, a neutral expert and a chairman for the Court of Arbitration, both were appointed. And Michel Lino, and he was appointed as the neutral expert, and Professor Sean Murphy as the chairman of the Court of Arbitration. This was done by the World Bank. The thing is, India is not happy with it because these are two different processes. The same issue is being discussed at a level which should be going by the correct hierarchy, correct grade. So this is the problem. All right. Also, the issue of two parallel mechanism has already been raised. Article 12, Clause 3 of the treaty says that India has invoked is not a dispute redressal mechanism. It is in effect a provision to amend the treaty. Now, India wants to amend the treaty. India is not saying that we are going to invoke a dispute redressal mechanism. And it should be done whenever amendment is to be done. It is said that the treaty should be discussed properly between the two governments and then amendment has to be done. Pakistan, that is why, is under no sort of obligation that it has to oblige India also. As of now, it is not clear what happens if Pakistan doesn't respond to India's notice within 90-day period. Article 12, Clause 4 provides for the termination of the treaty through a similar process, intergovernmental talks. There has been a growing demand in India to use the Indus Waters Treaty as a strategic tool as an upper riparian state. India was, after the Uri attack, India was urged by different parties to, of course, the center was urged by different parties to use this particular power that India has as a natural upper riparian state to, use this as a strategic tool to take Pakistan, to knock Pakistan down. But India hasn't done something like this. India has not fully utilized its right over the water it has already been given, the eastern, not also adequately used the rights of the western rivers, that whatever limited is there. But India has established, since the Uri attack, a high-level task force to exploit the full potential of the Indus Waters Treaty, and 𝐾𝐵𝐻𝐺𝐸 and Ratle project are, because of that only, we are seeing that India wants to pursue these two projects. Now, I'm going to attach a question in the comment segment. I'm going to take the names of those students who have answered my last question correctly. Mesopotamian civilization was the correct answer. Okay. So, Sumant, Rupal, God's Love, Sagarika, she has answered both the questions. Very good. Archana, then Chandan, Ranjita, Logan Ayeki, then Rahul Yadav, Strangi, Harsh, Ramalakshmi, Bharat, Pallavi, Amandeep, Shanti, Aryansh, Manish, Puneet. Also, Dilip, Mariam, Anju, Raju, Anushri, Srinivas, Daksha, Akhil, Alka, Shubham, Anuj, and Bhargavi, then Soumya, Shaili, Pallavi, Suraj, Tushita, Aarti, Sachin. That's it. So answer the next question as well. Thank you so much for watching. Stay updated.